Here we go. So, this weekend was Star City Louisville. Zach and I both went down there. Zach played Elves, which we liked quite a bit. I thought about playing it myself. It's very good against Eldrazi. Zach did not play against Eldrazi, and he went 2-3. So, that pretty much sums up his games. He did have some good ones, but yeah, it just didn't work out too well. He played in the first round. He played against red-green aggro, where I think in every game, in both games he won, the other guy had double Rancor on turn 2. So that gives Elves a hard time since there's not any removal. But my experience was somewhat different. I had a first, as far as anyone knew, in Star City since the current format was established or adopted. Anyway, let me put the deck up first before I get into this. That is messy. Let me try that again. There we go. I played the deck I was streaming with last week. I did change 2 of the sideboard time reinforcements into Thragtusks. Other than that, it's exactly the same as what you guys have been seeing. I do like the deck. I switched in the 2 Thragtusks because they are pretty good against Eldrazi. Timely is also good against Eldrazi, but I think Thragtusk is better. And the other half of that is Timely is better against Burn considerably, but it was unclear how much Burn there was actually going to be, or at least doing well, because Eldrazi might be just mopping up on them. So I made myself a little weaker against Burn, a little better against Eldrazi, slightly better against Eldrazi. Other than that, yeah, it's just what you saw before. So how did we do? Well, some of you guys probably know how we finished, but how did we get there? I had my 2 buys. Noteworthy story from the player meeting. So you guys might remember about a month ago, it was this year, maybe it was, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, something like that. I told a story from an open where I sat next to somebody in the player meeting, another streamer, and asked them questions about streaming to strike up a conversation. I thought the other person might be embarrassed, so I didn't reveal their name. But anyway, so I asked this person, some of you guys remember, I asked about, what are your, how do you feel about streaming, all this stuff. This person answered my questions and had no idea who I was, which is fine. I don't expect everyone to recognize me, but still, I was amused. So, player meeting this time. Once again, I'm sitting near Miss Mulligan because her actual last name is close to mine. And I'm going to go ahead and say it was Miss Mulligan this time. There's no reason to protect her innocence after she doubled up on it. So, and I noticed her sitting a couple tables over. And I don't feel any need to start a conversation since I tried to do that before and it didn't really lead to anything. So, during the player meeting, Miss Mulligan stands up from her chair, walks over to me to introduce herself and shake hands, having no idea that we already did this previously. So, okay. And then she goes back and sits down. They finish the player meeting. Afterwards, I get up and go over to talk to her. And her husband is with her, and, so I sit down next to Miss Mulligan, and I tell her, hey, I've got a pretty good story about streaming that for you. And she's like, okay. So, I tell her, like a month ago, I was telling this story on stream about this other person who I was met and sat next to at a player meeting and was talking to about streaming, and they had no idea who I was. And it was really like, you can't take offense to that kind of thing because, of course, people aren't going to know who you are a lot of the time. But still, it was kind of amusing that this person who's also a streamer had no idea who I was, even as we're talking about streaming. I'm thinking as I tell her this that she'll figure it out. She doesn't. Has no idea I'm talking about her. Sitting behind her, her husband is cracking up. But Ms. Mulligan is clueless. So then I even think to myself, all right, it's too much now if if I just dump this on her. So I'll just let her go. So like, okay, first round pair's about to go up. She kind of turns to walk away. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't hold this in. I'm like, so you know this story? She's like, yeah. He's like, it's you. I'm talking about you. And for anybody that's watched Miss Mulligan's stream, she's kind of pale, and is not uncommon with people that are kind of pale. They can blush. And Miss Mulligan turned red, and it was great. And her husband was just dying, and it was really, I enjoyed it a lot. Anyway, so then I have my 2 rounds off, and then so my round 3, my first round, I play against Lantern Control, which I didn't know it was Lantern, and I take a mulligan in game 1. But Lantern, I feel like, is a pretty good matchup, and I've been saying this on stream. Man, Lantern, I think, is a pretty good matchup for Tron. Some people were skeptical about that, but I think it is. And I beat this guy up without too much trouble. One thing that both games, when Oblivion Stones blew up, and my opponent has Glimmer Void in play, and then I finish my turn, or it goes to the end of his turn or something, either way, and then he doesn't acknowledge his Glimmer Void, he just untaps to start his turn. I'm like, your Glimmer Void's dead. He's like, oh, right. And I didn't call Judge, and I felt like I should have, and I didn't. And maybe that was just because it was the first round of the tournament, because normally I call judges and get people warnings when I think they deserve them. And he should have gotten a warning, and he didn't. I mean, well, he does deserve a warning for that. I didn't call a judge. The same thing happened in game 2, and I was not happy at that point that I didn't call a judge the first time, because, I'm sure it's completely straight up and the guy just forgot, but, or I should say I'm confident, I'm not sure, but there's no real way to know, and the only way to keep track of people that are cheating by doing things like that is to call a judge and get the warnings. And I didn't this time, and then when it happened again, I wasn't really happy. I wasn't happy. Anyway, beat this guy up. I do watch Zach's second round. He played against a game. I'm standing behind his opponent, looking at his opponent's hand, and I can't tell what the deck is because I don't recognize all the cards. You're the Lantern player. Sorry about the Glimmer Voice, man. No, it's just in 10 hours. Yeah, no, and like per maximum, I totally get it, and that is understandable, and I'm sure you understand. Like, that's the whole point of the warnings, is that, and the same thing happened later in the day on a different card, and I did call a judge, and that guy didn't seem particularly upset about it, and that's just what you should do, and like you should call that on me too. Like, I've called myself. I've told judges before, hey, I should get a warning because this little thing happened and we fixed it already, but I deserve a warning for missing it in the first place. Anyway, so moving on. But yeah, I didn't think that you were doing anything nefarious. But again, yeah, like you understand, there's no way for me to actually know that. So anyway, Zach's opponent, who's playing some deck that doesn't make any sense. So I'm standing behind this guy. This is during my second round bye, so I get to watch the whole match. The guy's got some blue cards and some green cards. Game 1, he doesn't really play anything. Zach just kills him. Even though I'm looking at the guy's hand, I don't know what's going on either. He's playing, it turns out, game 2, he plays turn 1, Helix Pinnacle, which is a card that if, oh, you know what, I didn't load up the card window, let me do that. Some of you guys may not know what it is. Line this up. Let's see, where are we at? There we go. Helix Pinnacle. So, 1 mana, Shroud Enchantment, put 100 mana into it. Over the course of the game, you win. So I'm like, huh. Turn 2, opponent plays Bloom Tender. Turn 3, freed from the reel on the Bloom Tender. That is a win. Zach goes through his turn, has an insane turn 3, drops a bajillion elves into play, casts 2 Shaman of the Packs for 9 each, dealing the opponent 18. Opponent goes to 2. And the turn makes 100 mana on tap, wins. Well, so much for that. Game 3, Zach also crushes him, but I get to see some more of the guy's deck, and now that I know what I'm looking for, I recognize more of the cards. So he's playing 2 Infinite Mana combos. Freed from the Real on Bloom Tender and Malira with Devoted Druid. Either one of those make Infinite Mana, and then he's Helix Pinnacle to win the game, and probably something else. So, yeah, there you go. There's the Eldrazi Menace, and there's the Helix Pinnacle guy. Anyway, let's see. We got another story that... I'm kind of torn on whether I should tell this other story or not. Because... I shouldn't. I want to, but I should not. It's not even necessarily unkind or rude. It doesn't. It kind of paints a person in the light that they're painting themselves in, but I still feel guilty doing it myself. So I think I wrote this down in my notes to tell this story, but I'm gonna bail out. I'm not gonna do it. So round 4, I play against Blue Red Delver. Devoted Druid Malira does not work. Really? Why not? How is the counter on Malira? Says counters can't be put. Maybe you're right. Either way, the combo is in his deck. But yeah, that doesn't mean it works. Round 4, I play against Blue Red Delver with so game 1 he plays Throne Delver. I have explosives in my hand. I just go ahead and drop it, knowing that he'll just choose not to flip the Delver probably, but I drop it anyway. Then on turn 3 he does flip it, so I can kill it, and he plays Blood Moon, and I died. So that was that. Then game 2, he also plays Blood Moon, but we're better set up against it. And however, I may have been set up well for the Blood Moon. He was not. So he plays Blood Moon. Then next turn, he's like, okay, in my turn, break this fetch land. Or end of your turn, break this fetch land. I'm like, I can't do that. It's like, why not? Because that's a mountain. It's like, what do you mean? You have Blood Moon on the board. Oh. You're right. Sorry, I can't do that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to call a judge, get you a warning. He's like, okay. So I do. I call a judge over like I should have in round 3. Okay, this is what happened. All right, so the game progressed anywhere. How much has gone by since then? Nothing. He did it. I pointed it out. Okay, give him a warning. Cool. And actually, notable, it was the head judge that came over because I called for a judge. There were no judges in the area whatsoever. And the head judge from like up on top of the Star City stage thing sees me with my hand up and no one coming over. So he walks over himself, kind of like with his hands out, like, I don't know what's going on. There should be judges around here. He comes up, deals with it himself. Okay. Anyway, my opponent untaps, does something, or actually nothing. Goes back to my turn. I cast a Warm Coil Engine or something or other, and he's like, Snapcaster Mage. Oh, I think he cast Serum Visions on his. He has 2 islands. He has Serum Visions with one of them. Goes to my turn. I'm like, Warm Coil. He's like, Snapcaster Mage. I'm like, uh-oh. He's like, target remand. Tap Steam Vents and something else. Remand it. I'm like, really? Judge. Oh, you're right. That's a mountain. Yeah. Judge comes over. What's going on? My opponent trying to use blue mana from his Steam Vents with a Blood Moon in play. Oh. Okay. You ever had any other warnings for this? Yeah. It happened last turn. Oh. Okay. So then he runs. They pick up the match slip, realizes the head judge has already written on it from the previous turn, and then goes to track down the head judge. And then you come back like, okay, 2 warnings, watch out, do this again, you're screwed. The guy's like, I got it. So then I proceed to win that game. And then game 3 was cool. I brought in Crumble to Dust. I brought in Warping Wail in case he had Crumble to Dust. Turn 2, he plays Young Pyromancer. So turn 2, I Warping Wail it, which felt good, because probably that was a lot of his offense. Tron came super late. He didn't have a Blood Moon this game, but I didn't have Tron forever. But my hand was super stacked. So eventually I managed to assemble Tron, but then we're looking at, okay, I can still really only cast 1 spell a turn, even though I have Worm Coil, Karn, Thragtusk in my hand. So I cast a Worm Coil 2 turns in a row and he gets remanded. And then the next turn, I'm still alive, but I'm down to, I think, 5. Let me look at my notes here. Actually, looks like it was at 9. I remember it being lower than that. Whatever. I mean, something like 9, and he's got a creature on the board that's been attacking. So I draw a star for the turn. I'm like, all right, now we're set. So now I can cast double Thragtusk. So I cast one Thragtusk, it just resolves. Okay, well, the game's pretty much over already. Break the star, cast a second Thragtusk. I'm at like 19 versus his, Snapcaster Mage with double Thragtusk on the board, so he's trashed. All right, so we win that one. 4-0, technically. Feeling good about that. Beat the Blood Moon deck, beat the Lantern deck. Round 5. Round 5 was my favorite match from the Modern event. Now, I also have a favorite match from the Legacy event, but my favorite match from the Modern event was round 5. We're on the backup camera match, which is unfortunate that it wasn't on camera, as against Michael Majors. Now, Michael Majors is not someone I've played much against, if at all, but obviously he is known as a good player. He writes good articles. I think his articles are definitely worth reading. And he's definitely a guy I feel like probably knows what he's doing. And this is going to be, whatever deck he's chosen, he's going to know how to play it. This is going to be a solid match. Turns out he's playing Merfolk. Merfolk's a good match for Tron. Game 1 was really cool. Wasn't as cool as Game 2, but Game 1 was really cool. So, Game 1, I believe I won the roll. Let's see, actually, he may have won the roll. Anyway, he plays at a guy, 1 or 2 guys. He has an he plays Ether Vial, and then I think he files in like a Curse Catcher, and then he plays the Lord of Atlantis, or some kind of Lord. I played Karn on turn 3. I assembled turn 3 Tron, play Karn. I decide to plus, knowing I'm going to absolutely destroy him here. So I just plus, he has to discard a card, he pitches a Dismember, which obviously doesn't worth anything against me, whatever. He attacks me, which totally understand, although it's debatable. So anyway, he doesn't attack Karn, he just attacks me for like 8 damage or something, 10 damage, something like that. It might have been 10. Actually, I can probably tell you. It was 8. Attacks me for 8. And he has a Mutavault also, which is a scary card. So I untap, plus Karn again. So now his hand's pretty small. And then play Oblivion Stone and kill everything, including my Karn, but also his entire board and the Mutavault, and the Ether Vial, and he's completely destroyed. So yeah, definitely there was some consideration to minusing Karn and taking care of his lords, especially on that first turn where if I minus and take care of the lord, then Karn may not have died on the swing back, although it could have. But just plussing twice and then blowing the board away, he's wrecked. His follow-up doesn't beat my follow-up. Game over. Awesome. Game 2. Now, several times, a lot of time when I get asked, either on stream or in real-life events where someone, generally somebody younger, but not always, will ask me, like, oh, I want to get better at Magic. Like, how do I become more towards your level? Like, I'm a decent player, but I'm not that good. Like, what should I work on? And a lot of times, well, I mean, there's no real one answer to that. But one thing I like to say is learn the rules. Learn how the cards work. Because most people don't know how the cards work, and you can get advantages on them. Now, that's something that a lot of experienced players know card interactions, but even then, they don't always know the rules. Now, there's plenty of people that do know the rules, but a lot of them don't. I won Game 2 against Michael Majors and absolutely blew the crap out of him because I knew the rules better than he did, and that felt fantastic. I didn't win because I had a better draw than him. I didn't win because of some fluke. I won because I know the rules better than he does, and it was great. So, this is what happens. He's going to go first. He doesn't have a turn 1 play. I don't remember what I did. I think I just played a land. Maybe a star. I'm not sure. I don't have an easy Tron this time. Turn 2, he plays Thalia, which is not a card I'm used to running into against Merfolk, but okay. So it's turn 2 Thalia. My turn. I play a Razorverge Thicket, tap both my land, and cast Ancient Stirrings because of the Thalia. I have a number of options on there. I ended up taking Engineered Explosives. Okay, so obviously he's going to note, that's noteworthy. He's going to probably notice that. It's an unusual card to see in Tron, but also, aside from that, it's just relevant to the game. Turn 3. I believe he played Silvergill Adept, draws a card, attacks with Thalia. My turn 3. I play another Tron land and cast Sylvan Scrying. No, I play a forest. That's important. I played a forest and cast Sylvan Scrying. So I get the second Tron land. And I already had another Tron land in my hand, but so I'm giving up the ability to have Tron on the next turn. But that's okay, because I want him... It's important that he knows I can't have Tron on turn 4. So I pass back to him. Now, he's got Thalia on the board. Let me bring up Thalia. Some of you guys know where this is going, probably. Well, look at this fancy Thalia. Thalia. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Pretty straightforward card. Everybody knows what it does. So Michael Majors untaps on his 4th turn. Now, he knows that I have explosives in my hand. And obviously, explosives for 2 is what I'm going to want to cast it for. And on my 4th turn, without Tron, explosives is going to cost 2 to blow up. It's going to take 2 colors, plus Thalia makes it cost 1 more. It's not going to work. Okay, we're safe. As long as we can kill him on turn 5, he can't do anything with the explosives. Dump 2 more lords on the board. Attack. Go. My turn. Cast a second Tron land. Tap, Razorverge Thicket, and Forest. Cast and generate explosives. Michael Majors. It costs 1 more. Because of Thalia. I'm like, I know. I already paid it. He's like, what do you mean? I already paid the extra mana. Did you see this 2? That includes the extra. And then I put it in play and put 2 counters on it. Michael Major says, is that how that works? Yeah. Judge comes over. Yep. I botched explaining it to the judge, so it took a second for him to understand what I meant. But yeah, cast explosives for 1. Pay 1 extra. That's 2. Because of Thalia. Green and a white. That's 2 colors. Explosives with 2 counters. Blow for 2. Michael Major's board. Throw in the trash. You're done. That was one of the more satisfying games I've had recently. Now, maybe I would have won anyway if I would have played the game out differently. But I just knew. It was like, people do not know this rule. Michael Majors is a good player. There's a solid chance he doesn't know this rule. If I set this up, show him the explosives in my hand, he has Thalia. He knows I can't use it on turn 4. He's going to dump everything. He's not going to hold back. He's going to try and kill me before it happens. He does. He gets wrecked. I was excited. All right. 5-0. Well, as good as I played in that round against Michael Majors, boy, did I screw up in the next round. Round 6, I play against Jeff Hoogland. I played terrible. Now, Hoogland's a good player. He knows how his deck works. And he has an advantage that a lot of people don't know how his deck works. Apparently, that includes me. So, in 2 games against Hoogland, several things happened. 1, I cast an Ulamog in game 1. Died anyway because I targeted things that I probably shouldn't have. Game 2, I cast Ulamog. Died anyway because I targeted the wrong things. We could go on about that, but that pretty much sums it up. Hoogland played well. I did not. Hoogland wins. I'm confident. Well, it's clear I could have won game 2. Zach thinks I could have won game 1 also, although I'm not sure about that. But, whatever. It was not a good display from me. Do I know his name is pronounced differently? Differently from what? Closer to Hoogland? What? It's Hoogland. Okay, I didn't know that. Anyway, round 7. Round 7. Sit down. I'm 6-1. I need to win 1 more match to... No, I'm sorry, I'm 5-1. So I gotta win 2 more matches to make it to day 2. And if I sweep, that'd be great. I'd be 8-1. Sit down. Opponent. Turn 1, Cavern. Slivers. Like, what? He's like, Slivers. Like, oh, okay. I thought maybe I misheard or something, because how many people could be slaying Slivers in this tournament, right? And especially be 5-1. Well, apparently this guy. Anyway, so game 1 progresses, and I beat the crap out of him. Game 2 goes quite a bit differently. I'm thinking Oblivion Stone is going to destroy him. And then he plays Sedge Sliver. Sedge Sliver has the noteworthy ability, in addition to being a lord, it gives regeneration to your slivers, which works pretty well against Oblivion Stone. I actually could have played a Wormcoil Engine, but it wouldn't have been enough. I would have died anyway. So I play Oblivion Stone. Hope somehow that he manages to screw this up. He doesn't. So I don't take any damage that turn because all those guys have to regenerate. Then I play Wormcoil Engine, but I'm dead on the board. As long as he has anything, and he does. So he played... Or actually, I wasn't straight up dead on the board, but then he played Gale Rider Sliver, and then I was for sure dead on the board. Game 3, he mulligans, keeps a 1-land hand, and never draws another land. So, got away with that one. He kept a 1-land Vial hand. So he starts vialing up, but that's just too slow. I can just assemble Tron. He's not doing anything at all. And so I ended up winning. Was his name... whoever asked what his name was, I didn't write his name down. I don't remember what it was. I'm sorry. But so I defeat the Mighty Sliver deck. Noteworthy about this event, you'll notice if you've been paying attention, we have not played against Eldrazi yet. Somehow. That changes in round 8. I play against an Eldrazi deck. Game 1, I keep my opponent mulligans, I keep kind of a sketchy hand that requires drawing another land off the top. I do not. I die. Game 2, I win easily. I didn't even take any damage. And then I actually gained life by casting Nature's Claim on my Wormcoil Engine in response to a Path to Exile, which felt pretty good. So yeah, I actually don't take any damage in Game 2, despite him keeping a 7-card hand. And then Game 3 happens. Game 3 was one of those games, everybody's played these games, where if you see an average player with an average deck, he will crush both of you. He might crush both of us together. Like, if we played 2-on-1, we might have lost. He manages to play, I think, an Eldrazi Mimic, and then a couple turns later, he draws a 3rd land and plays a Sky Shaper. He has no 2-mana lands. So even on, like, turn 6, he's attacking for, like, 5 damage. Meanwhile, I'm completely crippled and not doing much of anything at all. He plays a Stony Silence, I kill it. He plays an Oblivion Ring on an Expedition map. I cast Ancient Stirrings twice in this game. They both sucked. The first one, I'm hoping for any Tron land that I have one Tron land, so I'm hoping either one of the other two, miss. The second one, I'm hoping for any land at all, miss. Don't even hit anything. Get a Expedition map, play that, which gets Oblivion Ringed. So then the next turn, I have to Nature's Claim the Oblivion Ring to get back my Expedition map, to then break it and make my land drop. Keep in mind, he's so screwed I'm still alive, despite this being like turn 6, but I haven't done much of anything either. And then, eventually, I actually get the board stabilized. Sort of. I play a Thragtusk. I have choices. I actually have a lot of choices. I finally assemble Tron. What seems like about turn 10 was actually probably like turn 7. I assemble Tron, and I can either play Wormcoil Engine, or Thragtusk, or... There was another option too, although I can't think what it was. Oh, I guess it was Karn. So I play Thragtusk because that's better defense against Path, whereas Wormcoil just gets Path and I die. And plus, playing the Thragtusk puts me up to 10. So he's going to need to draw a 2-mana land to have Reality Smasher probably to kill me. If he does, I will die on the board. He does draw an Eye of Lucan, does have Reality Smasher in hand, and I die. But that was, yeah. I mean, I didn't feel... Both of us were really not doing a whole lot. The mistake in the match was not anything that happened in Game 3. It was keeping my hand in Game 1. I should have mulliganed. and I did not, and that was wrong. So I've lost 2 matches now. Both of them included mistakes on my part. We got one more match on the day. Got to win that to make day 2. This was on camera. Played against. Well, I didn't know what I was playing against, but this is on camera, so some of you guys might have seen this. This match was rather lopsided. Game 1. My opponent played a Overgrown Tomb or some kind of green, white, or black dual land. And then on turn 2, he played a fetch land and fetched up another dual land. And then turn 3, he played another dual land and played no spells. So I'm looking at like a mixture of green, white, and black mana, none of which produce colors that or do anything that I'm scared of. Then on turn 4, he plays Kalidas, which, okay, so we've got a 7-turn clock assembled on turn 4. I play Ulamog and kill both of his white sources, and that was pretty much into that. I think he probably should have conceded instead of letting Ulamog attack him and mill 20 and show me more of his deck, even though there wasn't anything surprising to see. But even so, I mean, I'd rather get to see 20 cards at random than not. So that was that, game 1. Yeah, Kalidas versus Ulamog, yeah. I actually thought the commentary was fairly good during the match. I went back and watched it, and they were talking about Kalidas being part of the Get Vampire tribe, which were Servant Steel Eldrazi or something like that. I didn't know any of that stuff, but I thought they did a good job. One of the other matches I watched, I felt like they didn't do a good job, but this one they definitely did. Then game 2, I didn't write anything down for game 2. I took a mulligan. He did something. I casted a log probably, and he got wrecked. I don't know. So that was the end of that. So I'm 7-2. Okay, good enough, sort of. Obviously not what we're looking for. And then I face the question: do I stay in or do I drop out? 7-2 is the cut. My tiebreakers are good. I'm actually in 20. I think I was in 23rd place, but I'm still 7-2. I'm fresh off a Legacy Classic win. Feeling good about playing more Legacy. 65 players make day 2. Isn't that interesting? Not like 110 or 120. Just the way the number of players, because the cut was 7-2, not like 6-2-1 or 6-3, and the way it lined up, 65 players made day 2. So, my tiebreakers are good. I decided to drop. I didn't decide until the morning. We talked about it overnight. End up dropping. Play Legacy. So what do we need to have happen in the Modern Open? We've got approximately 40 people are 7-2. I'm 7-2. And my tiebreakers are better than theirs. If one of those 40 people goes winless, I will make the money. I will finish 64th. Pretty cool. So it's a shot. Even better. Skipping forward a couple hours, Zach is walking by the bottom tables of the Open. And here's one of them say, either asks a judge or somebody else, they just, in conversation, someone says, oh, there's only 64 players left because I dropped. There's only 64 players left. And then one of the other guys is like, so does that mean we all cashed? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, all right, we all cashed. So now there's a whole pile of people sitting at like 7-4 or 7-5 who have lost all their matches on the day. And once they get to like 7-5 or 7-6, there's no more reason for them to play anymore. If they win all the rest of their matches, they're still going to finish top 64. So they can go ahead and drop. All I need is one. Well, I got one. Oh, I got one, I guess, that dropped. I got another one. A fellow by the name of Chris Anderson, who is also in the race for Star City points. made day 2 at 7-2. Lost his first 3 rounds. He's now 7-5. Thinks it doesn't matter what happens from here, apparently, because there's only 64 people left. I can do whatever I want, and I'll still make top 64. Does not drop from the tournament. Instead, stays in and concedes to each of his last 3 opponents. For whatever reason. To give people free Planeswalker points or something. So round 13, round 14, round 15, he stays in the tournament and just goes to each round and then concedes. Well, his tiebreakers get wrecked, and he finishes 65th. So he stayed in all day. 65th. I didn't play a game of Modern on Sunday. 63rd. So I won $100 and got the extra point, and he got squat, which I think is awesome. Especially since those of you guys that were here earlier, last week, it was about Wednesday or Thursday, we played against Chris Anderson in a league online in Modern, and he didn't show us his deck. He conceded the match so that we wouldn't know what he was playing. So got suckered on that one. Actually, that was great in multiple different ways. I actually played against him on Zach's account again on Thursday. And, of course, I was on Zach's account, so what does he know? So he went ahead and played the match, so I found out what he's playing. And then this happened, he got 65th. That was pretty cool. It doesn't matter too much to me that he got screwed, but it matters a lot to me that I got the extra point. So, 4 points from the the Modern Open for finishing 63rd. Okay, but Legacy, we still got to make up the points. There's several people doing well. Andrew Tenjum is doing well. Kent Ketter, Hoogland, Jerry Thompson. There's people that are doing well. But we're playing Legacy now. I will bring up the Legacy deck, even though I know you guys all know what it looks like. There it is. That is what I played. No changes from the previous Classic. Now, the previous Classic, I didn't know this until a couple hours ago. I went and checked my notes. In the previous Legacy Classic in Columbus, or somewhere, Cincinnati, something that started with a C. I don't remember if it was Columbus or Cincinnati. Whatever it was. I lost 4 games in the tournament. 4. Felt pretty good about that. I didn't know that, but I mean, I felt pretty good about the tournament. I basically I didn't lose a match. What I did in winning the tournament, I did have some tough ones. I lost 4 games. Normally, I wouldn't even think of that, but it's significant. So, Legacy Classic this week. Round 1, I play against Danny West, who is the new Cedric Phillips. He's the content coordinator for the Star City website. I didn't know that going in. I recognized his name, but I didn't know what his job was. But anyway, so that's what it is. So we talked for a while. That was fun. He's playing Maverick with black. I don't really want to call it Dark Maverick because I always feel like Dark Maverick implies Dark Confidant being in the deck, and I didn't see that. I think it was just Green White Maverick with maybe some black cards in the sideboard, plus Deathrite Shaman's second ability. We played 5 games. We played game 1. I mean, we played game 1, and then we played 4 sideboard games. I won all 5. He made a couple mistakes here and there, because I think he's not played too much with Deathrite Shaman, maybe. Like, there was one point, actually it was in the first game we played, where he played turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, then maybe turn 2, he was casting Night of the Reliquary, and he activated Deathrite Shaman and ate a land from his own graveyard when there was one in my graveyard to eat, but he ate his own, which obviously that's not good, especially when you have Night. It's not good anyway, but yeah, with Night of the Reliquary, it's actually even more harmful. Anyway, Staticaster completely destroys him. The whole deck completely destroys him. I win 5-0. No problem. Alright, good way to start. Round 2. Playing against Elves. Game 1 I mulligan. Whatever. Crush him. This is actually a kid who I've talked to a few times. I think his name is Josh. Getting the just at the beginning of playing Magic, really. He's a good kid, but even experienced Elves players like Andrew Jessup couldn't beat me the last Classic. So this kid, who is relatively, well, I don't know how inexperienced he is. He's young. Anyway, I mopped the floor with this kid. Game 2, he plays turn 1 Dryad Arbor going first. I actually have Swords of Plowshares and Submerge in my hand, so I I have to think for a minute, like, which one makes more sense to cast here. I ended up going with the Swords of Plowshares. That Dryad Arbor turned out to be his only land, so that was the end of that. Alright, 2-0. Let's page. Round 3. Round 3, I play against Stinking Show. Stinking Show is a deck that has varied in popularity over the last couple of years. It was very common, then it wasn't. I still think it's on the kind of downswing, but I did play against it a couple times in this event. Game 1, I keep a hand that has no business ever winning a game against Stinking Show and die. This is, you don't know your opponent's playing, and you have Swords of Plowshares and, whatever else. You're like, oh, this is fine. And it's not. Die. Okay. Game 2, I don't know what he did on the first turn either. Whatever. On his first turn, which is more relevant than mine, he plays Volcanic Island, Lotus Petal, Defense Grid. Okay. Now, Defense Grid is not a card I'm terrified of, but I don't really want to see it on turn 1. Like, turn 2 is fine, especially when I'm going first. But turn 1 is pretty fast. And I don't have Needle or Containment Priest, so I'm a little vulnerable here. His second turn consists of nothing, so he kept 1 land, Petal, Defense Grid, and ran it out there. Has no follow-up for the next turn or two, and then I actually get a Jace out and start face stealing him off lands, I think, which is not something that happens all that often, but it does happen here, and I win this one without too much trouble. We go to game 3. Game 3, I mulligan. Game 3, he plays turn 1 Ancient Tomb, Defense Grid. His entire 75 contains 1 Defense Grid. Sadness. This Defense Grid proves to be a little bit too much. I have a chance. I end up casting, I think, a Ponder, and then I Snapcaster Mage a Ponder to try, or a Brainstorm or something. I need to find a Caracas or a Pithing Needle. I don't. He untaps on turn 4, I think, and kills me with Gristlebrand. Actually, I think he used Gristlebrand. That's game 1 where he Gristlebrand and then drew a couple times the next turn as Emrakul and Gristlebrand. Game 3, I think it was just Emrakul. Anyway, so I lose. Lost 2 games there. What are you going to do? Sometimes you can't win. Sometimes you can and you make mistakes. I'm not aware of mistakes I made in that match, but they certainly could have happened. Round 4, Stinking Show again. Oh. I gotta make sure I don't just skimp on reading my notes as I'm going through this. Noteworthy from round 3. Despite it losing to Stinking Show, did cast a legendary creature with a Cavern of Souls on the board, and I got Force of Will. Just so you know, that happened in round 3. Round 4, I play against Stinking Show for the second consecutive match. I win game 1. Game 2, he mulls to 5. I win again. Noteworthy, during this match, cast a Vanilla Click with the Cavern of Souls. I got Force of Will. Okay, again, not making a big deal out of that, I'm just saying it happened. So, through 4 rounds, we've lost 2 games, and we've had 2 Force of Wills eaten by Cavern of Souls. Just gonna keep a tally on that. Round number 5. Now, I'm gonna have to play more than 5 rounds this time, because I lost a round this time, unlike the previous event. Round 5, I'm playing against Allurant. Not a deck that you play against all that often. Not a deck that's particularly easy to play against. It's pretty tricky. Opponent mulligans. That's nice. Game 1 is rather involved and lengthy, which happens. I win. Game 2, I mulligan. So you gotta return the favor, right? He mulliganed game 1, I get a mulligan game 2. Otherwise, it's unbalanced. Interesting note from this game that he told me afterwards. He boarded out his brainstorms because he just didn't want to. He wouldn't want to waste time on cantrips. He just wanted to have more actual things in the deck that do something. Pretty questionable. Zach was like, "Okay, that's reasonable, I guess." I don't think it is. Anyway, see where it has brainstorms. So game 2. He intuitions for Allurans at some point in the game at the end of my turn. Like, okay. Untaps, cast Alluran. Or no, I Vendilion Clique. He intuitions at the end of my turn for 3 Allurans. 2 go to the graveyard, 1 goes in his hand. Then before I pass the turn, I just Vendilion Clique immediately, take the Alluran. Okay, so we're clear for a while. He's getting some damage in. I actually took a lot of damage this game. From Deathrite Shaman and random creatures attacking. He has Deathrite Shaman on the board. We get to a point where the board is more or less stable, but I'm worried for some reason I'm worried that he's gonna have a Lure on the next turn. Maybe it's just because that was the last turn where he conceivably could beat me. I don't know. Anyway, I do a lot of stuff on my turn, trying to find an answer to a possible Alluran. Not finding one. The last thing I do is I brainstorm with a Jace. I like a topped, fetched, then maybe brainstorm with Jace. I have 2 land untapped. I find Snapcaster Mage and Arid Mesa. And I have 2 other cards to put back. Perfect. This is exactly what I need. I can Snapcaster the Wear Tear in the graveyard, kill the Alluran if he plays it. I'm about to put those other 2 cards back, and then I realize, wait. This is an Arid Mesa. I boarded out of Plains. This Arid Mesa is dead. There's no land for it to get. I don't need to get white. I just need to get anything, but it can't. There's no lands in the deck for it to fetch. So that plan's not gonna work. Okay, instead of putting back the other 2 cards, I put back the Snapcaster Mage and the Arid Mesa because they're no longer of any value. I keep a Ponder. I have 2 land left. Tap one of them, cast a Ponder. Shuffle. No good cards. Shuffle off the Ponder. Opponent cuts the deck. I basically need to draw a Force of Will or a blue card and then blind top into the other one. No, wait, I don't even think I had a top. No, I must have. Yeah, I need to. Well, whatever. It has to be something like that. Because I can't top into a Wear Tear because I only have 1 mana left. So I don't need a blind top. I just need to draw a Force of Will or blue card and then top into the other one. Opponent cuts the deck, hands it back to me. Draw off the Ponder. It's the other Wear and Tear. Opponent untaps, plays a Alluran, casts the first guy, tear it. Game over. Whoa. So we kind of got away with something on that one. Not, well, I mean, that was nice. The game lasted a while longer, but it was done at that point. That was very close. All right, 4-1. Sometimes the right cards do come off the top of the deck. Round 6. Death and Taxes. You know, a while back, all the Miracles players thought Death and Taxes was an okay matchup. All the Death and Taxes thought Miracles is a good matchup for us. All along, I was like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. This matchup is simple. Miracle people are like, it can go either way. No. It's easy. I'm even more confident now. I might have been overconfident then. Now I'm more confident, and yet I think it's more accurate. This matchup is a joke. Okay, I'm totally exaggerating when I say that, but I'm not worried about Death and Taxes ever. It's slow. So, game 1. Game 1 was the game from hell. Well, for one of us. Opponent. The game starts out, develops, things get cast, things get killed, whatever. At one point, opponent, where is it? Hold on. And he like started out with like Mother of Runes Thalia or something like that. So it's like a good start for him. I don't even own one, that's why I can't find one. There it is. And then the board gets cleared, and then he starts to rebuild. Because of Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. Stoneforge Mystic's pretty good. Sword of Fire and Ice is pretty scary. He searches up Batterskull. Okay. Or Jitte, I don't even remember. And he plays Spirit of the Labyrinth. Now, Liliana is my baby. Liliana crushes opponents who cast it against me. I don't know what they're thinking. They should just, if they draw it, just cast a hymn on yourself to discard it, because you'll be better off. Spirit of the Labyrinth may be climbing the ranks of other cards that in fact are secretly working for me. I have abused Spirit of the Labyrinth occasionally in the past, but very rarely. It doesn't come up that often. Not all Death and Taxes even play the card. This guy played the card. My turn. Oh, wait. End of your turn. Vendilion Click. Target you. Show me your hand. He's got 3 cards. His 3 cards are Batterskull, Umuzama's Jitte, and Sword of Fire and Ice. I will take Sword of Fire and Ice. Put it on the bottom of the deck. Opponent knows what's up. Doesn't go to even draw a card. Because for those of you guys that don't know, you do not get to draw cards beyond your first draw of the turn. For whatever reason. So Vendilion Click is saying draw a card. Spirit of the Labyrinth is like, no. Cannot draw. Activate Caracas. Bounce Vendilion Click. Recast it on the same end step. Take Jitte. Opponent now has 1 card in hand. I untap. Deal with something or other on the board. Bounce Vendilion Click. Untap. Go. Opponent draws. Vendilion Click. I'll take Batterskull. Opponent. This game is fucking miserable. Oh man. That was great. I was having such a good time. So I beat the crap out of this guy. And then game 2, game 2, we saw, there wasn't anything quite that bad, but there was, so I draw Caracas at one point, and I remember this because Kazu Negri was sitting next to, or maybe a seat or 2 over, but he was watching. And so I draw Caracas, and I have, I think, 3 islands and the plains on the board. I'm like, well, I'm not playing this because it's just going to get killed by a wasteland or something. So I'm like, all right, go. All right. Next turn, I like top, and there's a Venser there. I'm like, ooh, the new 3rd card is Venser. Now I draw the Venser. Like, now I'll play Caracas. So it's like, oh, wasteland Caracas. I'm like, sorry. Tap 4, Venser, bounce a Caracas. Wasteland, ship it. It's done. And I look over at Kazu, and Kazu just, I don't know Kazu Negri. I've played against him before, but I don't really know him. But he's just sitting there, he just has a grin on his face. So awesome. And then, like, Sadcaster shot down all manner of stuff, and yeah, that was the end of that. So I absolutely slaughtered this guy, and I really enjoyed it. Okay. Yeah, Thistlewick, I do not swear, generally. The only time I usually swear is when I'm quoting other people swearing, or quoting comedians swearing or something. I don't generally use it myself. But I do feel like sometimes it adds something, especially like that one was really, it was really fun to be a part of, and I wanted to give you guys the full effect of how it went. Anyway, round 7, playing at Storm. Game 1 worked out beautiful. I didn't know he was playing Storm going in, and so he starts off with, I think I went first, and let's see, no, we both kept 7. I went first, I think, and played a land. He played a Duress. Now I have Brainstorm and a Force of Will in my hand. I kept because of having a Force of Will and a blue card, but that's really all I have. The rest of my hand sucks. So I'm like, okay, Brainstorm in response. And probably the problem here is that if I want to have Force of Will up for turn 2, obviously I need to put it on top of the deck, but I also need a blue card to pitch to it. But whatever blue card I get, he can just take with his duress. So what I really need is a blue creature, and I get one. I draw a Venser. All right. So I put the Force on top. His duress resolves, takes like a Swords of Plowshares, because that's all there is, and Terminus. And he took one of those. I think he took Terminus, and leaves me with a Venser. Okay, go. All right, my turn 2. I redraw the Force of Will. So now I have Force Protection again. He doesn't try to go off on the next turn. So then another turn goes by, and I'm still worried about being able to protect this Force of Will. So then I draw, and draw a top, and I play a top, and then like another I Snapcaster the Brainstorm, put the Force on top of the deck again, where I can now conceal it forever. So now he's never getting this Force away from me. And he gets a Cabal Therapy, I think, but then I hide the Venser, so that misses, and then he's basically done with from there. Game 2 is easier because I can sideboard, obviously, have Fluster Storms and all kinds of stuff. I actually tell him, because in game 1 he cast a Ponder, shuffled, and then cast a land and some discard spell. And I'm like, I don't think you drew off the Ponder. And he's like, you're right. And I'm like, okay, let's call a judge just to make sure you get to draw the card, because I'm like 99.5% that he gets to draw. You're not allowed to forget drawing a card, but in case he can forget to do it, I certainly don't want him to get it. So I call a judge. Judge comes over. Hey, opponent forgot to draw a card off Ponder. Is that possible? Judge is like, no. Like, okay, go ahead and draw your card. So he draws his card. Then I win the game, and I'm like, all right. So going into game 2, I tell him, like, if there's such thing as karma, I should get a good opening hand this game because I gave you that card of the Ponder. And he's like, I guess, or something. I don't know what he says. Anyway, I drop my hand for game 2. And I wrote it down. Because maybe karma is real. My opening hand for game 2 is Island, Pluto Delta, Divining Top, Fluster Storm, Force of Will, Counterbalance, and Brainstorm. That's pretty much perfect. So, yeah, and I proceed to bust them up. Alright, so 6-1 with 2 game losses versus 4 game losses at the other Classic. So, here we go, top 8. Now, this top 8 is different from the previous one because Star City changed the prizing structure, and now it's not an auto split. I think that's a good thing. But anyway, so there's no split this time. Top 8. I'm playing against Bug Delver. This is a pretty cool match. What do we have written down here? Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I can't read all these words. Oh, okay. So, at some point in the game 1, I vanilla click him, and I see Spell Pierce and Abrupt Decay. So, obviously, I'm not taking either one of those cards. And then, a turn 2 later, I'm like, well, I have a Jace that's coming up. It's in my top 3 of the deck because I have Divine Top out. But I only have 4. This is like whatever turn it is. I only have 4 lands. I'm like, well, I can't cast that into a Spell Pierce, and I'm not taking a Spell Pierce on a Vanilla Click. So we'll just see what we can do here. So then, like on the next turn, I spend some mana on my turn. I like look at the top 3. Okay, go your turn. He does. I don't know. He attacks me with whatever he has. All right, look at the top 3. Now I have 2 more mana untapped. Brainstorm. All right, Spell Pierce. Okay, cool. Untap. Draw my 5th land, and then I'm so I'd be able to play around Daze in case he drew a Daze. Draw off top. Abrupt Decay it. Okay, you got it. Abrupt Decay, top dead. Draw the Jace. Play my 5th land. Play Jace. Destroyed. Awesome. Game 2. You know what happened in game 2? I'll tell you what. At some point in the game, I had Jace out. And at some point in the game, I had a Liliana out. I mean, it was on his side of the board, but it's my Liliana. So, Liliana gets to work, grinding our hands down. Actually, I think killed a creature and then starts building itself up. I lost. He cast a him. Okay, this game took forever. It's a good thing these rounds are untimed. Game 2 took forever. And one of the reasons it took forever was he cast 2 Hymn to Turox. And I don't remember what the first one got, but the second one got Monastery Mentor and Vanillion Click. Which, that's a heck of a lot of my total power in the deck. Then, so I'm kind of, like, 2 hymns have resolved my hand. I'm short on cards. He's got some stuff out. He's got a Delver of Secrets that Jace has to bounce twice because it's going to kill me. So I keep bouncing this Delver. Then the third turn, obviously, you brainstorm with Jace. Need to find a removal spell. Jace, I don't. Jace dies. And then I think on the next turn I draw like a Ponder maybe, and I Ponder and I get a Submerge. Okay, so I'm sitting there with my Submerge. Total, I was like, go. Just have him on 1 card. He's got Liliana out. He's got 1 card in hand also. He's got Sylvan Library out. So he's got Sylvan Library and Liliana. And I have just a card, and my Jace is dead. Okay, go. Looks at Sylvan Library. Alright. So I'm thinking, well, he's hopefully thinking, okay, this game's over with. But maybe he's thinking, I better plus Liliana first. That's what I'm hoping, because I want the card out of his hand. It's like, alright, plus Liliana, I'm like, Submerge. Okay. Alright. Delver on top of the deck. No new threat for this turn. And he has to throw a card away Liliana, whereas I don't. Next turn, he redraws the Delver, plays the Delver. Then I like find something else to do. And then stuff goes on for like another 10 minutes. I get another Jace out. We're both super low on life. Him because of Sylvan Library, which he probably could have used more aggressively, I think, and maybe even better off. But anyway, so we get to a point where he's at 3, and I'm at 1. And really, I have a top out, and so I'm hoping to find a creature to kill him. He has a fetch land. So if he breaks that, a Snapcaster Mage could kill him, or a Venser. And if he doesn't, a Vanillion Click could kill him. Well, Rest in Peace have been on the board for quite a while in this game. So I look through my exile pile. There's 3 Vanillion Clicks in there. That's all of them. The Mentor is in there, a Venser is in there, and a Snapcaster Mage is in there. So I have 2 Snapcaster Mages and 1 Venser left in the entire deck that can kill him. Somehow I managed to find a Jace before that. But then he gets a Tarmogoyf. I find a Swords of Plowshares, kill that. He gets another Tarmogoyf, Swords of Plowshares, kill that. Well, now I also tore the Sylvan Library, so he can't get any more cards off of it. But now 1 creature is not going to kill him. So this game continues on for like another forever. Liliana Ultimates. I can't stop it. And at this point, I've got top counterbalance, the 1 counterbalance I left in, I think, and Jace versus like a pile of land. Liliana Ultimates at 7 too. He actually dared to go up to 7 against me instead of stopping at 6 and just ultimating, which worked out. Didn't find the Venser or any creature to kill him with. But yeah, and then he gained some life. So Liliana Ultimates, he's like, all right. So I draw off top, and he was like, okay, land versus other permanents. Berlumsky, the rest of me was dead already at this point. So it's land versus counterbalance and Jace. So I'm like, well, the Jace is at like, if the Jace is 10, maybe I can keep it. But it's at like 2. So have to keep the lands. All right, so Liliana Ultimates and stays alive. Some more stuff dies. Draw another Jace. That Jace just starts plussing. Liliana gets killed by something. I don't even remember how that happened exactly. But anyway, the game continues on. Oh no, it doesn't die. The Liliana keeps plussing. That's right. It's just the Liliana starts over at 1 and goes up from there. So then we end up with my Jace ultimates to kill him, while his Liliana is waiting to ultimate on me again. He actually forgot to use Liliana 1 turn, which didn't matter. And I really didn't like the way the judge handled this, because I was like, are you done? He's like, yeah. Oh, wait, I want to use Liliana. And I was like, ugh. So the judge is right there. I'm like, okay, judge, can you go back and use the Liliana? The judge is like, it's up to you. I'm like, what? Why is it up to me? Obviously, I'm biased. It shouldn't be up to me. And the judge is like, well, and the guy's like, it's fine, whatever you want. And I'm like, well, crap, I don't want to be the bad guy here. And I actually wish I would have let him use it, but I said no, because the judge let it be up to me. And so then I untap, plus Jace to 13. He goes, plus his Liliana to 6, and then my turn, Jace kills him. I actually wish he'd gotten it, because if he had, then he would have ultimated Liliana twice, and I would have still won. Because what would have happened was he ultimates Liliana the second time, he puts Jace by itself, I sack all the lands, and then have just Jason play and untap and ultimate, and he dies. That would have been really neat. And I've only beaten Liliana, double Liliana ultimate in a game, I think one time, and that would have been the second one. Except he missed it on that one turn, so, oh well. I should have appealed the ruling. I suppose I could have, just to get something that in principle made more sense. Anyway, so, beat this guy. Important to note, in this however long game 2, it was at least half an hour, might have been a whole hour, I don't know. In this second game, I did play a card, a land, called Cavern of Souls. I did cast a Vanillion Click off this Cavern of Souls, and it got forced, pitching a Brainstorm. So, through the top 8, we now have 3 creatures on Cavern of Souls, Force of Willed, and 2 game losses. Not 2 game loss penalties, I've lost 2 games. Top 4. Play against Infect. Also top 4, I run out of paper. So, I had borrowed paper from somebody else. Actually, it was my top 8 opponent. He gave me the rest of his paper after I beat him. Top 4, Infect. Game 1. Game 1 was interesting. Well, interesting. At least I feel like it was interesting. Opponent plays turn 1 Glistener. I go first, because I was the second seed. I play a land. Opponent plays Glistener Elf. My turn. Second land, Swords of Plowshares. Opponent forces. I force. Opponent forces. Okay. So, I feel like that's pretty good for me. There's still a Glistener Elf in play. Then I play Divining Top. I certainly wasn't going to play it first, because I'm not letting my swords get dazed. He doesn't have a daze anyway, which isn't surprising, since he's just double forced, pitching 2 other blue cards. So then I play Divine Top. Then turn 3, he plays Noble Hierarch, attacks for 2 poison. And then I play Counterbalance on turn 3. And he's like, oh, okay. Then he attacks for 2 poison again. And then 2 poison again. So I go up to 6 poison. And from there, he's dead. And let's see, what else does it say? Oh, yeah, he just draws a hand of more 1-drops that he can't cast. Alright, game 2, he takes Mulligan. I keep a hand that would be considered sketchy, in that it has 1 land. I think I kept 4 1-land hands between round 7, top 8, and top 4. So, keep another 1-land hand. He goes turn 1, Nexus. Oh, I go turn 1, Needle Nexus. Awesome. I feel like maybe the game's over already. He mulliganed. Maybe that's all he's got. No, it's not. He plays Glistener Elf on turn 2. And then Noble Hierarch. Attack for 2 poison. Alright. Next turn, 2 more poison. Alright. Go to turn 4. Of course, I don't miss Land Drop. I mean, who are we talking about here? I think I drew 1 off the top immediately and then brainstormed or something, so I was fine. Or anyway, turn 4. He attacks. I'm at 4 poison already. He's got Noble Hierarch out. I play Vanillion Click. He casts Force of Will on the Vanillion Click. I do the same thing I do every single time this happens. Anything else? What do you mean? Does it resolve? I forced it. I know. Ugh. And then he goes and tells his story. He's like, I was watching your top 8 match, because my top 8 match lasted forever. His probably lasted 5 seconds while he was crushing somebody with Infect. And he's like, I watched the guy force a will your Vanillion Click with a Cavern at play, and me and my friends are like, oh, watch out for that. Make sure we don't do that. Game 2 of top 4. He does it anyway. Force a will. Pitch something. Vanillion Click resolves anyway. Target you. Opponent's like, oh. Invigorate my guy. I'm like, submerge. And he's like, crap. Destroyed. Game over. All right. To the finals. 2 game losses. 4 Force of Wills on Cavern of Souls creatures. There may be some correlation between those 2 things. So even though I lost a round this time, I lost 4. I'm at such a streak. I don't even feel like it's. I mean, some of it's obviously luck, but some of it isn't. I lost 4 games at the previous Legacy Classic. 2 games this time. Played against paired against Ali Antrazi in the finals, playing Burn. We're both obviously scrounging for Star City points. Apparently, he doesn't care about them that much. It's the finals. We can work out there's this pile of store credit that we're awarded. We work out a deal. He gets more of the credit than I do. I get the win. Done. All right. So, that is the story of Louisville. The leader race. So Hoagland, still in the lead by a lot. He top 8 the tournament, the Open. Andrew Tenjum was ahead of me. He top 8 the tournament also. I passed him, which he pointed out was rather frustrating. Because he top 8 the Open, I won the Classic, which is worth the exact same number of points, but I also top 64 the Open, so I got 4 more points than he did. So I'm now ahead of him. And Brian Brown didn't show up. Caleb Scherer did not do well in either day. So now we have actually a cushion. Not a huge one, but a cushion. With 3 Opens left plus the Invitational for the Players' Championship slots for this season. Feeling pretty good about that. This weekend went pretty well. I had a good time. It was fun. Had some cool... The Michael Majors match was amazing. The Death and Taxes guy that wanted to kill himself was amazing. The Cavern of Souls continuously absorbing Force of Wills like it's nothing. Cavern of Souls just shakes it off. Like if Cavern of Souls became a normal... Like if it turned into a waste after it functioned through one counter, it would still be fine. But it doesn't even do that. It's just shrugs it off. It's like, Force of Will, get out of here. Let's keep playing. By the way, you suck. So that happened 4 times. Anyway, the event was good. How many people qualify from Season 1? 3. 3 people qualify. Hoagland has a big lead. But I'm in second. Tenjum is right behind me, and then Caleb is a ways back, and followed by Brian Brunduin and some other people. Do you have to declare the mana being uncounterable with Cavern? No, you do not. You used to at the very beginning, and then they changed it. So, there are 3 Opens left, 1 Legacy and 2 Standard. I believe the second Standard Open is the weekend the new set comes out, and then the Invitational is a week later. So, that obviously is going to change things up. But for now, what we need to worry about is Legacy Open this weekend. Now, would I change anything without this Eldrazi stuff? No. Do we have to change stuff for Eldrazi? Probably. I have not worked out exactly what that's going to be yet, but we are going to spend the next few days working on that. So like I was saying, some of you guys would remember this from the last couple weeks. I had a new build of Miracles I was excited to try out. We're done with that now. It's not going to work. I threw that away, deleted it. Now we have to figure out how to deal with Eldrazi. So,